Hello, hello. I'm Mindy Silva, and welcome to the presentation for finding out how to extract vital information for your Spanish ancestors when you don't speak Spanish so far. And I know it does make a brief mention that, this is for WikiTreeers, but it really is for anybody. There is a full tutorial on WikiTree, and I'm going to put that down into the comments. This is just little bits of it kind of to get you started and to give you an idea of how this can help you find out about your ancestors. There are 3 things that you will need to com as one of the Spain project's resources. Have you ever looked at records written in Spanish and thought, I'll never be able to research this ancestor? Well, you are not alone. There are many researchers out there with Latin American roots that can't read the Spanish language. There are 3 things that you will need to be able to do in order to benefit fully from this presentation. The first is reading handwriting. Most of the records are written in cursive. If you are used to recognizing certain characters, that may be enough. The second is a desire to learn. You don't need to learn everything at once. Practice and time are required to get proficient at abstracting these records. But the desire to learn does need to be there. The third is the ability to grow. Patience and self-confidence are also needed. And remember, you aren't expected to be able to jump in and read it all at the beginning. Believe in yourself and your abilities so you can grow with your research. This collection of pages is meant to help non-Spanish speaking members learn how to extract information from the Spanish church records. You are not expected to be able to translate the records after reviewing all of the pages or the presentation, nor will you be able to. This tutorial was designed for members of WikiTree that speak English and is not a comprehensive language tutorial. You should, however, learn how to accurately judge the record itself and get the information that you need. After practice, you should not only be able to extract vital information from your records, you should eventually be able to look for records on your own. The tutorial was created by collaboration between 5 WikiTree members in 3 different countries. Each collaborator had different areas of expertise. It is important to note that every researcher out there has their own way of doing things. If you are somewhat familiar with Spanish records already and are wondering why we do something differently, it is because we made a lot of compromises in order to give the best result to the person learning. Each step was read by an English-only speaking member and adjustments made to clarify any question areas. You can find more help with this from other collaborators in the WikiTree G2G, which is Genealogist to Genealogist, forum. Before we look at the individual records, let's take a look at some of the common terms you will frequently see. Hijo, son. Hija, daughter. Legítimo, legitimate. Padre, father. Madre, mother. Mes, month. Muerto or muerta, death. Esposo, husband. Mujer, wife. Nacido, nacida, birth. Nacimiento or nació, nacía, birth. Nombre, name or given name. Padrinos, godparents. Now let's look at some numbers. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez. You can look in the glossary for the various terms used from 0 to 1,000, which would be mil, and you will see that a lot. Spain changed their calendar to begin on the 1st of January in 1556. So all records created after that day have the year as we would count it today. Enero, January, Febrero, February, Marzo, March, Abril, April, Mayo, May, Junio, June, Julio, July, Agosto, August, Septiembre, September, Octubre, October, Noviembre, November, Diciembre, December. As you can tell, many of those months are very recognizable as they are close to what the English spelling is. Most of the time what you will see is you will see the numbers put together spelled out in the long form. So on the 20th of September, 20 de septiembre, in this year, de este año, of 1,600, de 1,665 would be 65 años, and that is year. If you can't determine the exact date after looking at the record, don't be overly concerned. You can generally at least tell what the month was, you know what the year was, and this would be sometimes more information than what you would get from, say, a United States Census record. It's okay to say they were born in September of 1845. So to put that all together, we are looking at the 25th of September in the year 1665, and that would be 20 de septiembre de este año de 1665 años. On the said day and month and year is used a lot. For example, if they were baptized on the 1st of October and they had been born on that same day, they would say on the said day, month, and year for the birth. So, en dicho día, mes y año dicho. This is flickering really bad. And they're saying on the same day and month and year. They will always put what the location is as far as the church and the town that it's in. So you will see parroquia, which is parish, and then the name of the parish. For a death record, they may say obito. A good way to remember that in English is think of the word obituary for when a person died. Another common term you will see is funeral and burial, and that would be funerales, sepultura. Matrimonial is one form of marriage. Seeing as this is very close to the English term matrimony, this one should be fairly easy for you to pick out. But remember, they could also say casamiento, case, or casado, casada, to indicate someone is married. Another set of terms that can be handy when you're researching large families is the terms first, second, and third. Primero, segundo, tercera. Now these are sometimes used to indicate something such as John, first of his name, son of Jose. You may also occasionally see something with the two words put together, such as segundo hijo, so the second son born to that parent. The first record we are going to look at is a baptism from Mexico. This source citation was taken from Family Search, which is highly recommended due to their variety of record collections and easy copy and paste source citations. As you can see, the baptism record itself is written in Spanish. The writing is pretty good in this record, and on Family Search you can zoom in and look at the writing in a larger size. On the WikiTree.com page, you will see the full transcription of the record. One thing we should touch on is the difference between a transcription, a translation, and an abstract. A transcription is a word-for-word type selection of the record in the language that it was originally written in. Because there are abbreviations that are commonly used, you will see inserted numbers, which take you down to the explanation of that citation. The first one, for example, is the word Don, which is like Sir or Mr. in English. A translation is exactly that. Someone has taken the text and translated it to English or another language. A few of the words may be in a different order due to language differences, but the sentences mean the same thing. And finally, there is an abstract. This is where you pick out the key unique items such as names, dates, and places, and just list those. Now that we've covered the basics, let's look at the translation of this record. You can read through it in English and easily see which sections are most likely present in all baptisms, such as exorcised and solemnly baptized and anointed with the holy oil. You can also seek out the unique parts, like the names of the parents. You will very quickly learn that there are keywords to look for in order to find the parents in the record. This is a baptism for a male child, so the term in front of the father's name is hijo legítimo, or the legitimate son of. This means that the parents of this child were married at the time the record was created. You will also see padrinos, which are the godparents. There is usually a male and a female godparent that are there to witness the event. Now try looking at just the Spanish words while you listen to the English version. You can rewatch this later and practice looking for Spanish terms. On the 19th of July, I, the bachelor, Mr. Vicente Arregui, exorcised, solemnly baptized, and anointed with holy oil and chrisma, a Spanish infant from La Orilla del Rio, born the day before, who was given the name of Jose Ignacio Justo, the legitimate son of Jose Antonio Cardenas and Maria Josefa Gil. The godparents were Francisco Gil and Gertrudis Nunez, Spaniards from this town. I warned them about their duty and spiritual relationship, and I signed. Once again, the more you practice, the easier it will become, trust me. Here you see the original language and the full translation next to each other. Each line contains the same information as in the other language. This will help you practice looking through the original text to find the information that you need. At the end of the tutorial pages, you will find the glossary. This is broken out into sections. You can look specifically for common document terms, numbers, months, full dates used within these help pages, Latin American countries, and information on racial terminology. This is the start of common document terms. The symbol in that first cell may be the only thing indicating that this is a death record. If there are two of the symbols, that could mean a mother and child died together, or paired with felicido, a dead husband or wife. Next is the Spanish word for farmer. You can see in the abbreviation column the letters that are commonly used to signify a farmer. This helps you determine what information is in the document. It also covers certain words, such as año, for year, that are used in many documents. Some words may be used in more than one form. As you can see in the first row, casamiento, the word for marriage, may be written as matrimonio, case, casado, or casada. Likewise, cónyuge may be represented as esposo, esposa, marido, marida, or mujer, for husband or wife. This glossary should ease some of the confusion that can naturally occur with the various forms. The word charisma is tied to the Catholic religion, which the Latin American countries' faiths were based on. This is the holy oils that the priests use to anoint children or adults in different ecclesiastical acts and sacraments. This terminology doesn't always translate over directly from Spanish to English. So these terms and this terminology is a really good thing to have in the glossary. Let's go back and refresh ourselves on that baptism. Here we can see that Jose Ignacio was the legitimate child of Jose Antonio Cardenas and Maria Josefa Gil. The godparents in this record were Francisco Gil, with Francisco spelled out at the bottom of the page, and Gertrudis Nunez, both Spaniards. Once again, you want to progress in your learning. If you try for immediate perfection, you will only disappoint yourself. Each person learns differently and at different rates. Be proud of yourself for each step that you master along the way. Now let's look at a marriage record. Just like with the baptism, you will see the source citation as well as the image of the record on the WikiTree page and in your handout. As you can see, this record takes up a little more room than the baptism did. This is the transcription of the marriage document. Once again, this is the full record typed out as it was handwritten in its original form. Each number will take you down to an explanation for that particular abbreviation. Alternately, you can print out the glossary and keep it on hand to help you navigate these records. Here is the next section you will see on the tutorial page. This translates each part of the record into English. It reorders the words if necessary so that the meaning is clear. These are excellent to practice with. You can look at the first line and see that the Spanish as written indicates it was the 21st of June in the year 1782 or 1782. Your glossary is also helpful when looking through the records to help you figure out what the date of the event was. The next sections of the tutorial will let you compare the original text in Spanish in paragraph form to the English text. You can use this to see how far you can get in the Spanish text or what you can pick out by reading the English version on the same line of that second paragraph. Now that you've had a chance to look at some of the common words, let's practice looking for common terms while listening to the English version of this marriage. On the 21st of June of 1782, I, Fray Ramon Antonio Gonzalez, minister of La Cañada, the three bands having been previously read as mandated, by the Holy Council of Trent on 3 different non-working days, during Mass, tested the bride and groom, and notice that it is inferred that it was the bride and groom who were tested, but they did not use the word bride and groom. In the Christian doctrine, they are having confessed and taken communion, and as the necessary diligences performed uncovered no canonical impediments, I married and veiled in the presence of the congregation Francisco Gallego, neighbor of Abaquay, along with Bernarda Martin, neighbor of Camayo. The best man and matron of honor were Bernardo Mascareñas and Juana Josefa, neighbors of Camayo, the witnesses being Antonio Martin, Domingo Potrero, and Javier de Herrera, neighbor of La Cañada. And for the record, I signed, Fray Ramon Gonzalez. So this gives you a good idea of which words will be common in future marital records and how to find them. Tips for learning. First, check for any hints in English records about their origins or relationships. Some records will be duplicated in English and can be easily read. Others may be created after they migrated. These may contain clues that will help you better understand the Spanish records. Second, talk to family members. See if there was any history or stories passed down through family members. Sometimes in asking, it will spur a memory that your family member had forgotten. These can be great clues in discovering all you can about your ancestors. Third, look for indexes on sites such as Ancestry or Family Search for those vital records. Sometimes they will have a full abstract, in English, of the unique information such as dates, relationships, and places. Fourth, try and familiarize yourself with some of the common terms. Look for Spanish vital records and try to extract the information. You will soon get used to the various writing styles and they will become easier to read. If you are having trouble with a record, attempt to read the page before and the page after where your record is found. You may find other examples of writing idiosyncrasies that will make your record easier to read. So, for example, if they put a particular flourish on a capital T, you may see that at the start of Thomas, and that will tell you, oh, that's how that priest wrote their T. And finally, as with everything on WikiTree, be brave. Print out a Spanish record so that you can make notes. Print out the glossary if desired so you can highlight difficult terminology. Approach a record with confidence. Before you know it, you will not need a second set of eyes to confirm your abstracts. Congratulations are in order. Don't forget to give yourself credit for each thing that you learn. This can be a difficult journey at first, but will reap such great rewards in the end. Good luck to you in all of your future research, no matter the language. Do you still have questions? You can find me and others on wikitree.com. Let's collaborate. See you there.